Hey yo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. It is Tuesday, June the 12th, 2018, and SmackDown Live was surprisingly pretty decent. And that does not mean that they are free of mistakes just because they were slightly better than Monday Night Raw. Have no fear, ladies and gentlemen. There is plenty of reason to bring the hammer down on SmackDown Live right here and right now on the newest, fastest rising podcast in all of YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Radio, and Podbean, baby. The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
All right, wrestling fans, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Nick Nightmare. Along with me, as always, is the world's greatest tag team for the Sledgehammer, the wrestling god of thunder, and the official sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, and my little buddy, my most trusted companion, and the world heavyweight champion of microphones, Blue the Snowball. Thank you for checking out the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show here tonight for our SmackDown Live review. And SmackDown Live, like we just said, was surprisingly good. It was pretty good, with the exception of the beginning and the end. And once again, I have to keep touting this home because I don't want any jerk-offs to be watching this show for the first time and getting the wrong idea, because this is not me getting down on the women, because I love my women's wrestling. I love a lot of the women that are involved in this weekend's upcoming Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and this Money in the Bank go-home show was way better structured, and it flowed better than last night, but it had a few very big, glaring examples of what is wrong with the WWE. And you could sum it up a lot in the way they portrayed the women's division tonight. We came out with this Women's Money in the Bank Summit, and you had Paige doing her general manager thing. I feel like she's actually coming into her own a little bit. She's not as grating on my nerves as she used to be. She's not making me cringe so much. I think she's feeling maybe a little bit more natural in her role, so she's doing her job a little bit better than we're accustomed to, and maybe that made the show feel better, just because the general manager doesn't come across like a babbling buffoon. Alright, so she was doing her job to the best of her ability all night long, but this summit was a train wreck from start to finish, and it's not the fault of any of the females that are in the ring. You guys need to understand something, that it starts and ends in that creative room. You got a bunch of retard monkeys sitting in a room somewhere writing out all this forced, ridiculous dialogue. And I can throw this at you as an example of what's killing the WWE. Every single Monday and Tuesday, we could just interchange the parts. Here's a question that you should already know the answer to based on what I just said. What does Big Cass, the entire women's division, Sami Zayn, Bobby Lashley, and Roman Reigns all have in common? Terrible writing! Terrible writing, which is making us all want to see everything that they're doing with these people even less. These entertainment promos that we've been seeing with Zayn and Lashley, everything for the last 4 years with Roman Reigns that they give him to say out of his mouth that doesn't look like he even wants to be saying it, because he'd rather be talking trash to us and calling us idiots and retards and whatever he wants to call us, and that would be much more acceptable to us. We want to hate him for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons, and you keep giving him this forced good guy garbage. The same can be said for the entire women's division. Look what we saw last night coming out of the mouth of Nia Jax. They probably gave her that script with like a half an hour to remember what she needed to say. And it came off that way on camera. And the same exact thing happened tonight in that whole opening segment. All these girls had their key lines that they needed to deliver, and this ridiculously forced argument that was so unnatural. Nothing felt genuine at all. It was like a bunch of friends standing in the ring trying to pretend that they have a problem with each other because people are watching. That's what it came across as. And then they wanted to amplify it even worse by bringing out the Iconic Duo. I was such a huge fan of the Iconic Duo in NXT, and the weird thing is they weren't doing anything that different than what they're doing now. I think that what happened is that the WWE creative think that they understand the Iconic Duo and what they were doing down there in the Mean Girls role, trying to be these, real nasty, bully-type females, making fun of the other girls, doing very, very piss-poor imitations. I mean, this is a thing that you would stick with if Peyton Royce's imitation of Becky Lynch was spot on. But it's absolutely ridiculous. It's the worst imitation of an Irish accent I have ever heard. And then they want to go on and do it to the next girl. And then they want to dance like Naomi and Lana. Who wrote this shit? And who cares? What do the Iconic Duo have to do with Money in the Bank? Nothing. They didn't earn their spot. They have nothing to do with the pay-per-view. They should not be on the final stop before the pay-per-view, where we should be building and making hype for things that are happening at the pay-per-view. What did this do for the 4 girls that are going into Money in the Bank? You had Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville come out, and then everything turns into a brawl, which was kind of interesting, but then you have what everybody knew was coming the minute the Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville pairing came out. We all knew this was now going to be an 8-man tag. I was hoping that it was just going to happen and be done, but they moved it to the main event, and on we went. And in the main event, what's the biggest problem with the main event? The main event is that you have the 4 girls in the Money in the Bank that are going to be tearing each other's heads off. Charlotte and Becky, who had a great match last week, coming off the heels of that, they're going to be put on a team. They got to be tea time friends again. You got Money in the Bank 5 days away. These girls aren't getting aggressive. They aren't, gunning after each other. No, they want to win this matchup. After Asuka was added to the team, we'll get a little bit more into that later, and it was a 10-woman tag team matchup. The good girls win. Asuka's on the team. They're all standing in the ring, all victorious, and the 4 girls who have not won Money in the Bank yet, they're going to be in the Money in the Bank on Sunday, are staring down Asuka, who hasn't won the Women's Championship yet, and then staring at the briefcase, and then staring at Asuka, and staring at the briefcase, and staring at Asuka, and staring at the briefcase, and staring at Asuka, and staring at the briefcase. You can't get more scripted than that. It's almost like the point to the sign. Everybody's got to point to the fucking Royal Rumble sign, right? We're going to WrestleMania. I'm sorry, the WrestleMania sign after the Royal Rumble. Pointing every week. Now everybody's looking up. Like we don't know what's there. Give me a break. Why the WWE feels the need to shove things down our throat is another big issue I have. When they have a big-time pay-per-view coming up, it seems like it's the new trend, as they did it with WrestleMania, and I'm assuming they're going to do with Extreme Rules and also SummerSlam to follow. These mid-match promos hyping matches coming up at the pay-per-view, where they do the picture-in-picture. It's bad enough we got to deal with it during the regular commercials. They're comfortable with that now. So comfortable, in fact, that they're going to do it even more so by putting these hype promo spots during in-ring competition. It happened during every match on the card tonight. Every match was interrupted by a hype for a match that's coming off of the Raw show, no less. Most specifically with Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey. They want to keep calling this the biggest women's match in the history of Monday Night Raw. Are they smoking crack? Did they not see everything that Sasha and Charlotte did at the inception of this woman's evolution? Biggest match. Get out of here. Get out of here with that WWE lingo. That forced rhetoric that they are jamming down our throats, trying to get us interested in a match that we're not interested in. Some of you may be interested in. I'm not. I'm not. One of two things is going to happen. The woman who wins the Money in the Bank, if she is on SmackDown Live, Natalya, is going to cash in during that match. And neither one of these girls are going to end up... I'm sorry, I said SmackDown, I meant Raw. Natalya winning at the Money in the Bank. It's either going to be that, or they're going to give it to Ronda Rousey in her first ever match. Ever. Her first ever singles match. I know Paige came on and won her first ever Raw match. Won herself the Divas Championship. But she had wrestled plenty of matches before that in singles competition in NXT and during her day's training. Ronda Rousey's MMA background does not qualify her to be a WWE Women's Champion. Just doesn't. Brock Lesnar came in with a resume already full of WWE championships. It made sense. In this case, it doesn't really make sense. The whole entire world knows Ronda Rousey is in training mode and is like a project yet. We don't know if she's going to work out. And this is what you want to promote while the women on SmackDown are trying to do the best that they can in a bullshit 10-woman tag team match because you came up with absolutely nothing better for them to do. I would have much rather have seen a one-on-one match between any of those girls. A rematch between Charlotte and Becky even. I would have been a little upset that they were doing it again so quickly, but I would have taken it over what we had to see tonight. All for everybody to be happy in the end. We're a happy team, and we're so great, and we're going to fight each other and beat each other's asses, but tonight we're friends. Oh, wait, we're not friends. Let's stare at Asuka, and let's stare at the briefcase. What is this, the U.S. Open? Or is this pro wrestling? All in all, with those minor exceptions, the show was pretty good. And when you get 3 high-quality matchups, it's hard to complain. We had Daniel Bryan versus Shelton Benjamin, which was a very good match. Very technical-based. We did have some high-flying and high-impact offense, but there was a lot of very good chain wrestling. Counter after counter, Shelton Benjamin looked absolutely fantastic. Probably his best outing since his return. Credit that to Daniel Bryan if you want, but Shelton Benjamin is a thoroughbred in the ring, and he got in there with somebody who's able to go, and when you have it in you to wrestle, you have it in you, and when you get a great dance partner like Daniel Bryan, you get a great match like we got tonight. Clean victory. No shenanigans, no bullshit by Big Cass. It was a great match. Something that we are not accustomed to seeing. 5-star classic? No. But if you want to give me more of this, as opposed to 2 and 3 minute squash tag team matches on Monday Night Raw and shit like that, I'm not going to piss on it. I'll take that every time. Shelton Benjamin ends up tapping out to the heel hook. And I thought it was a great match. We go backstage. After that segment, Asuka wants Carmella. She's talking to Paige in the back. Paige makes it a 10-man match. Paige moves along down the hallway. We see The Miz pretending to be a referee for some reason. Makes up some bullshit thing that he's going to be in a movie called Rough Ref. About a dog that becomes a WWE referee. I want to see that movie now. It's a bullshit movie. But WWE Studios, why don't you make that instead of the Marine fucking 9000? I'd rather see Rough Ref. Get on it. Give it to The Miz. Who cares? Make a star one of his ugly dogs. So The Miz wants to be the ref during Samoa Joe and Rusev's contest tonight. And Paige makes it official. We will get to that in a little bit. We get a promotional package featuring the rivalry of balls. which was AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the past few months. Lots of ball shots being highlighted in this package because that's what this whole entire feud has been built around and based upon. It was nice. You know, the WWE package team, they do a fantastic job of making the garbage that we see every week look absolutely fucking like epic television in the 30 seconds that they have to make it look so, and they do a great job. This would lead us into an interview with AJ Styles that is being conducted by Jerry the King Lawler in this old school fashion promo that they debuted last week with Renee Young and Big Cass. This week we got Jerry the King Lawler as the interviewer, AJ Styles as the interviewee, and I loved the use of the King in this scenario. It really made me feel nostalgic. For some reason, it just made me feel like I was watching Mean Gene talking to like the Hitman or the Macho Man on the podium in the middle of the crowd. What was said was really nothing that you haven't heard already. AJ Styles is claiming that he's going to be the last man standing and he is going to walk in the champ, he is going to walk out the champ. The coolest thing that was said was actually said by the King when he made reference to the fact that AJ Styles slapped Shinsuke Nakamura at the contract signing so hard that it reminded him of the time that he slapped Andy Kaufman in the face, and he wanted to know what made AJ want to slap the teeth out of his mouth so hard. And AJ was like, hey, listen, you know, I lost my cool, and I should apologize. I'll apologize, or I should apologize, because I didn't knock his head off with my fist. Standard good guy jargon, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I liked the presentation of that interview format, maybe just because it calls out to something my inner wrestling child is used to, and I feel like is missing. It breaks things up from always going to the backstage interview, always going to that set that Renee Young's always in front of. You know, have them come out, have the crowd around them. It's something that all wrestling fans are used to, at least here in the United States. And I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed Samoa Joe versus Rusev. Call me crazy. You know I'm the biggest Samoa Joe fan. Am I happy that Samoa Joe took the loss tonight? No, but everything that happened in that match made that loss make perfect sense, so how can you really be that mad? Samoa Joe only lost that match due to the confusion with The Miz, the special guest referee, which was the whole reason he was placed in there in the first place. You don't want to give Rusev a clean victory over Samoa Joe, especially not in the lead up to Money in the Bank. But Rusev getting a win tonight makes me think he's definitely not winning at the Money in the Bank. Samoa Joe is definitely still one of my heavy favorites to go up and grab that briefcase, although I really don't think that's going to happen. But Rusev would get the win here with a Machka kick, and The Miz would be the reason for it. Aiden English jumps up on the apron, gets The Miz's attention. He ends up getting squashed by Rusev because Samoa Joe would avalanche Rusev into The Miz, into the ring post. And then all hell would break loose. Samoa Joe and The Miz would get into it. Next thing you know, he gets kicked in the face and ends up getting his shoulders pinned to the mat. Rusev would eliminate Samoa Joe with a steel chair, and then Rusev would find himself on the receiving end of a skull-crushing finale, leaving The Miz all alone to climb the ladder, claim the briefcase, and tell everybody he's going to cash in that contract. And he went over to the table, to the announce table, and he was going to open it up and show everybody that contract, only to reveal fucking pancakes. The food nonsense, the obsession with the food continues. We went from black olives last night unnecessarily back to the obligatory, it seems, pancakes for the Blue Brand and SmackDown Live. Did I enjoy this part? No. And I don't understand why the WWE truly thinks we're stupid. Do they not know that 99.9% of wrestling fans are probably video game fans? And if you're anything like me, you've been checking out the coverage of E3 all weekend long. The Sony PlayStation press conference was fucking awesome. Microsoft was pretty good as well. I still got some other things to watch, but one of the things I was watching was Xavier Woods at E3 all day long today. There's no way he flew to where SmackDown is from E3 when he's over there posting on Twitter as SmackDown is live on the air. They must think we're stupid. why they couldn't have just had Big E and Kofi there live reacting. Maybe they're there with Kofi. And if that was the case, why did we have to see the New Day and the Pancakes at all? Why couldn't we have just had The Miz win, hold up the contract, look like a badass, and move on to the next segment? Instead, you have to have The Miz end this pretty good match and this very well-structured segment on his knees, screaming New Day, as if he was a fucking comic book villain. Took away from it, I thought. I didn't enjoy that part too much, but it was a very solid match for these two, and it made sense in the end, and that's all you can ask for. Leading into Money in the Bank, this match alone was the one match that really, truly built towards the Money in the Bank match in a proper way, and I can appreciate that. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy. I don't understand why this match is happening 5 days before Money in the Bank, and I don't care, because after what we've seen, I can't wait to see it again. Jeff Hardy supposedly is nursing some real-life injuries, which is why he hasn't been in action so frequently on SmackDown Live as of late. But tonight you couldn't tell whether he was playing up the injuries or if he was actually legit, reacting to what's actually bothering him. But we had a great matchup here. Mind games by Nakamura at the beginning. And it was a very evenly contested matchup throughout until Jeff Hardy seemingly had the advantage. He would hit the Whisper in the Wind following a twist of fate and then would be banged up just a little bit too much to be able to get on top of Shinsuke Nakamura efficiently and quickly enough to really get that 3 count, as Shinsuke was able to kick out following Jeff Hardy's 2 big moves. After this, Jeff Hardy would go for the twist of fate again and find himself getting shot in the nuts by the King of Ball style. Shinsuke Nakamura gets himself disqualified, would then hit Jeff Hardy with a Kinshasa, and then count to 10, signifying to the world that he is ready and he is going to have AJ Styles' number. Shots to the nuts are legal in a last man standing match, so he will not be disqualified, and he wanted to show the crowd that this is going to be AJ Styles' fate as he counted to 10 with Jeff Hardy clutching his little Hardys, writhing on the floor in pain. Carmella came on screen. I didn't care. She was in the back. Renee Young is bothering her while she's getting her makeup done. And can somebody please write this girl a new line? Every single time she's on camera, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on SmackDown last week, or the week before that, or the week before that, or every single time we see this broad, she says the same line. I'm the champion. I deserve respect, right? She says, I beat Charlotte twice. Charlotte beat Asuka. I'm better than Asuka. I'm ready for Asuka. Mella is money. That's exactly verbatim. That's all she says. Every single time. Can we give her something else to say, please? Not that I want to hear her talk at all. I'd much rather her drop the title as quickly as possible to Asuka. Sunday cannot come quickly enough. Her interview skills are just weak. And when you give her dribble to try to... They're not even giving her that. They're just literally giving her the same piece of... Here's your line. That's all we couldn't come up with anything new. Just go with what we went with last week. The exact same thing could be said for her big 7-foot ex-boyfriend, Big Cass. We went almost through the entirety of SmackDown Live without seeing him. I thought we weren't going to see him at all. And lo and behold, there he is with his 7-foot fucking dimples. Smiling like an idiot. Dressed to the nines in a nice, 3-piece suit. And then he wants to go and tell a story about being at some state fair. Collecting $25,000. What state fair in the world has 25 fucking grand? Don't state fairs get run to raise money? For the most part? Who's going to pay Big Cass 25 G's to show up at a county fair? To which all he ended up doing was stealing from them. He took the height requirement sign from the Crazy Clown Coaster at some ricky-dink fucking imaginary county fair that paid him 25 grand. This is what they're writing. Who comes up with this? What kind of kush were you on? Pass me some. I want to come up with crazy fucking tales. I'm at a state fair, and I stole this sign with a fucking clown on it. I'm going to bring it to Raw. I'm going to bring it to SmackDown. I'm going to bring it with me to work. My 7-foot sign. So that I can call Daniel Bryan small again. Because that's all they're going to have me do. They're going to have me say, I'm 7 feet tall, Daniel Bryan small. The same promo every fucking week. Oh, good God. Then we would have the 5-on-5 main event women's tag team match begin. The girls would start to make their way to the ring, and then the WWE wants to cut to a Special Olympics promo, which is being hosted by The Big Show. And this is actually the best use of The Big Show on WWE TV that I have seen maybe over the last 5 to 6 years. And I am not saying with that statement that The Big Show belongs in the Special Olympics. I'm saying The Big Show is a great ambassador for the company. And him going out there and highlighting these athletes is fantastic. The kid that they were talking about tonight, this kid is something special. I don't even know if he's a kid. I forget his name right now. I apologize for that. But the guy is a competitor in the Special Olympics. He's got 76 gold medals. That's impressive. That's impressive. And he recently suffered some sort of an injury. He's making a comeback because he wants to win more. The guy's got the soul and the spirit of a winner, and he's not letting whatever it is that's disabling him get in the way, and you've got to respect that. This guy, what they were showing on TV, he's doing bench curls and pull-ups and all kinds of things that I, a fully capable, full-grown 40-year-old man, could not and probably should not do, because I will probably break or pull something. So I'm not even going to attempt it. But props to him. And, you know, good for The Big Show. This is a good way to see The Big Show on WWE TV. Why they did it during the entrances is beyond me. Why they couldn't have flashed that little promo spot coming back from commercial right before all the entrances began. You know, timing! Flow! Figure it out! I don't understand the production of the show. Why they decided to go and interrupt the entrances for us at home. Are these girls not important enough to watch go out to the ring? We finally had the 5-on-5 match. It was a so-so main event, pretty much breaking down into a brawl, which we all pretty much expected. And this brawl isolated the women's champion, Carmella, and Asuka. And for a brief moment, Carmella looked like she was going to win this thing. She hit Asuka with a vicious kick, and then Asuka would be saved by Lana. I can't even believe that I just said that sentence. Lana saved Asuka from losing this match. What is this world that we're living in right now? I don't understand. Anyway, Asuka would survive thanks to Lana, and then end up wrapping up the fabulous big mouth one in the Asuka lock. Carmella would tap, and then we would have happy time with the Money in the Bank girls holding hands, getting all happy. We won! We did it! Like we talked about before. And then played ping pong with their eyes, watching Asuka and the Money in the Bank. I hope none of them got dizzy, because doing it here myself is making me dizzy. Just like for the most part WWE makes me dizzy. No matter what, there's got to be something. This was far from a perfect show, but when you get 3 good matches featuring 6 of the best talents in the business, you can't really complain. I do tend to complain because I see through it, and I see these things that I need to bring to your attention, most of which we talked about at the beginning. The one thing I forgot to mention is there was absolutely zero movement in the tag team division tonight. We had a brief, momentary bump showing of the matchup that we are going to get for Money in the Bank this weekend. The Bludgeon Brothers versus The Club, Gallows and Anderson, for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And, last week we had Gallows getting a win over Big Luke Harper. I totally expected to see Anderson. I'm sorry, I said Gallows. I'm messing that up. They do that to me all the time. But you seen the Little Club guy beat Luke Harper last week, and then you saw Luke Gallows. I thought we were going to see Luke Gallows this week go up against the other one, and I guess they decided to scrap that. Just like they decided to scrap Andrade Cien Almas's premature matchup with Sin Cara. There's some sort of an injury. I'm pretty sure it's all kayfabe. They probably just decided it's better to not do this match twice and overexpose Cien Almas, and I'm fine with that. I think that's going to be a match that just might end up stealing the show if they give it enough time for Money in the Bank this Sunday. But we will talk more about that on the Money in the Bank preview and prediction show coming at you guys this weekend. It's either going to be up Thursday night or Friday morning, but keep your eyes ready and willing and able. And get your favorite beverage cozy up tight to wherever it is you watch me, on your iPhone, on your computer, on your couch, watching me on your smart TV, and get ready because the hammer is coming down with the preview and predictions of Money in the Bank. Just like we are coming down on NXT, and not in a bad way, because it is time for TakeOver Chicago, and it's going to be one of the biggest and baddest cards NXT has ever put together, featuring what could be the culmination of one of the biggest rivalries of all time with Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. We are going to talk about all of that as well in our NXT preview and prediction show for TakeOver this weekend. Don't forget to watch everything coming up this weekend. The reviews of both of those shows will be up live immediately following both pay-per-views this weekend. Everything that went up during this week, if you missed it, we had the Raw review last night where I brought the hammer down to the best of my ability. I wasn't feeling all myself last night, but I think we did a pretty good job. We had fun with the Constable Corbin. Constable Corbin Burnson made another appearance on the show. Go check it out if you missed it. Everything House of Glory. This is your central hub for House of Glory news, reviews, and previews. And House of Glory put on Temperature Rising this past Saturday. If you missed my review, that is on the channel live as well. We talked about CM Punk saying he's done with wrestling, although none of us believe that, especially following his disastrous, absolutely disastrous showing at the UFC 225 this past Saturday night, which I don't want to talk about. That's the most I'm going to say about it. We will not breach that subject until there is reason to breach it, and hopefully Punk comes back to wrestling, but that is another story for another day. If you want to hear my thoughts and what he had to say and why he's not coming back to pro wrestling, go check out that video as well. Top 5 lists, all kinds of wrestling stuff on the channel, because this is a wrestling channel for wrestling fans by a real-life wrestling fan, and each and every one of us have fantastic wrestling brains, and I want to invite every one of you smart fans who are still here with me at 32 minutes, if you are not already part of the Sledgehammer Club, all you need to do is hit that subscribe button right fucking now. Just hit it. Do it. You know you want to because you enjoyed today's show, you agreed with everything I had to say, and you want to see more. And the best way to see more is hit that subscribe button. Ring that notification bell because YouTube sucks lately, and they're not sending the proper notifications to those of you. So make sure your bell is rung by hitting that ring bell. Smash that thumbs up. Break it off and shove it somewhere if you have to. Just make sure that it gets all lit up so that I know that you enjoyed yourself while you were here at Sledgehammer TV, just like you can let the world know by smashing that thumbs up. And then share this video with each and one of your wrestling friends all over the wrestling world if they are looking for a home to share their wrestling knowledge in a respectful and polite manner, and are looking for a place to have fun and have their voice heard. That's why our comment section is down there. It's live for each and every one of you. You know who you are. I can't wait to see what all of you guys have to say. Thank you so much for joining me for the SmackDown live review tonight. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show and the Wrestling God of Thunder. Don't forget my little buddy, my trusted companion, and the world heavyweight champion of microphones, Blue the Snowball. This has been the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. Also available on iTunes, Stitcher, Radio, and Podbean, baby. You like that? Because I do. If you are listening to us on Podbean, iTunes, or Stitcher Radio, don't forget to check us out on Sledgehammer TV. That's youtube.com/Sledgehammer TV, the official broadcast home of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Check us out there so you could see Blue, you could see Thor, you could see me, you could actually see Constable Corbin Burnson. You won't just hear him as a funny voice on the show, you'll see him in the flesh, because he's a living, breathing thing. He didn't have anything to say about SmackDown Live tonight, but I'm sure he will rear his ugly head as soon as Money in the Bank concludes this Sunday. We hope to see you all there all weekend long, right here on Sledgehammer TV. That is going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you all week long right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Have a good night. Bang.